Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jonathan Moyer, and I am one of the Associate Directors of Music here at the Church of the Covenant. And it gives me pleasure to welcome you into this space for our Tuesday noon Organ Plus concert. I want to welcome those who are able to join us online and able to view this concert through our live stream. We welcome you into this space, as well as all of those who are here in person. It feels like this room is still resonating with the joy of Easter, and it was indeed a wonderful week of celebration of liturgy and music this past week, and it's just wonderful now to enter into this season of life and joy. Even though it's a little chilly today, it gives us great pleasure to welcome the beautiful musicianship of Juan Riveros, who will be playing his newly acquired harp for us. So he's going to be telling us all about the music he's playing on the program today, as well as his new instrument. And if you would like, if you just can't get enough of Juan, you can join us again for an upcoming service on May 10th. He will be collaborating with our choir here at the church for our Sunday morning service, presenting several works for soloists and organ and choir and harp. So it's going to be a really wonderful day of music on May 10th. If this is your first time in one of these concerts or joining us online, please consider either contacting us through our website or filling out this visitor survey that's available in the narthex, and we can update your email address. We can add it to our weekly e-news that can inform you about concerts and events that take place here at the Church of the Covenant. Following today's concert, if you have a few moments, you can enjoy some of the freshly prepared cookies that have been baked for us today. And again, we thank our many volunteers who provide them week in and week out. So without any further waiting, let us welcome Juan Riveros.
Hi everyone, my name is Juan Riveros, and I'm so excited to be here presenting this program for you all this afternoon. I'm currently finishing my master's down the street at the Cleveland Institute of Music, and I just recently accepted my offer from the University of Michigan to pursue my PhD in music theory there. So that is kind of the next step for me. As mentioned by Dr. Moyer as well, this is my newly acquired instrument. It was built in 2014. It is a Line and Healy Salzedo model. This entire instrument is built around the number 5 after the composer and harpist Carlos Salzedo. So you might see that the front of the column, the tallest part of the harp, is divided into 5 sections. There are 5 stripes of each color on the soundboard, as well as 5 lines kind of on each feet and also the bass. What also is unique about the harp, this particular model, is that the soundboard is pointed rather than curved on the sides. I'm still kind of breaking it in, but I'm really excited to be sharing this program with you all and kind of showcasing this new harp's really wonderful sound. All of the music that I will be performing today is music that I'm preparing for the upcoming USA International Harp Competition. This competition takes place every 3 years. I last competed in this competition in 2019, and I remember doing actually a few recitals here that spring as well to prepare for that. And today I'm going to be sharing primarily the 3rd round of music, which is a free choice recital program, which for myself will primarily consist of Latin and South American music. But we're actually going to start with something from the 1st round because I have to record some of these pieces for another competition that's taking place online soon. So I'll be starting with André-François Marescotti's Mouvement for harp. This piece was written in the 1960s and has a lot of prevalent jazz and blues influence. He was a Swiss composer, but all of those elements are really prevalent in the piece. This piece is kind of a gem, an unknown gem within the harp repertoire, in that it isn't really performed that often. So I'm really excited to be preparing it for the harp competition and be sharing it with many audiences. So I hope you enjoy it. This is Marescotti's Mouvement. isn't, influenced by anything that's Latin American or South American. The next selection is a set of 2 pieces written by Mexican composer Arturo Marquez, his Sarabanda y Son. The Sarabanda I'm using to open my free choice recital for the competition because it not only gives the audience a really good sense of how the harp can fill up and speak within a hall, but really showcases some of the Mexican traditions and harmonies within the scope of the harp. So often with programs that are centered around Latin American or South American music, it's a lot of piano transcriptions or things taken from larger works, and I'm not very concerned with that. I'm much more concerned with showcasing the music that's actually written for the instrument. So I've done a lot of digging, and a lot of these pieces that you'll hear there are no recordings of, and not many people are very aware of them. So this is kind of my own contribution to expanding the canon for the harp with this repertoire. So the Sarabanda is a very lyrical, expressive opening. The second movement, Son, is kind of similar in some respects as far as capturing that same atmosphere within the harp, but it's much more rhythmic and lyrical and still highlighting all of the Mexican elements of the music. So I hope you enjoy the Sarabanda and Son by Arturo Marquez. Uzi Norte, and it includes a lot of original music for both the harp and guitar. Now, typically with Spanish Baroque music, there isn't a lot either of this kind of music that we have recorded or accessible for harpists to perform, but I did some digging actually right down the street at KSL, and I did come across this entire resource. And so I dug through and messed around with a bunch of different selections from the book and ultimately settled on this selection, Españoletas. It captures such a unique element and aspect, I think, of dance within Hispanic and Spanish music for the harp. And so what I've done, rather than kind of approach this as a transcription, I like to think about playing Baroque music more as a realization. So each statement you'll hear kind of the original music as written in this resource, followed by a repeat of the same material with a lot more ornamentation and embellishment. That is kind of my own addition to the piece and bringing this work to life. So I hope you enjoy Españoletas by Riveros. This next piece was written by Argentinian composer Alberto Ginastera. This is his sonatina for the harp. Now, we also have the concerto for harp and orchestra, which is kind of one of our really big showcase pieces for the instrument. We use it all the time in concerto competitions, and it is a really great testament to the harp as a contemporary solo instrument. However, this concerto came much later in Ginastera's life, and he actually wrote this piece very, very early on in his compositional career. And he actually withdrew it from his catalog because he didn't like how it sounded and didn't want it being performed. Now, this piece had been performed in Argentina for several years, and harpists had a hold of it, so it's kind of been this myth and relic within the community. And it wasn't until the very beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020, whenever Boozy and Hawks actually published this piece and made it available for other people to perform. So I've been one of a handful of harpists that's kind of taken this piece and started to perform it all over the place, just because it is a really great testament to not only his writing, but another great original solo work for the harp. The first movement is the Preludio, and it's a very kind of light and jaunting movement with a lot of folk influence from Ginastera's own background coming from Argentina. There's a lot of these interesting rhythms and harmonies that not only showcase his harmonic language, but his own heritage within music. The second movement captures the same kind of pastoral feel that he so often writes about in his orchestral scores. He writes many kind of dances about being in a wheat field, and so we have the same kind of aura and energy in the second movement, the aria. It's very pastoral and very light movement with these beautiful harmonics and nice guitar-like bass line in the left hand. Now, the third movement is a huge contrast to the first two movements in that it's much more angular and contemporary. It shows much more of a shift towards what he was going to be writing ultimately. And he actually takes the primary theme from the third movement and uses it in the harp concerto. So I hope you enjoy. This is Ginastera's Sonatina for harp. I so hope that you've enjoyed this program, especially all of the Latin American and South American works that are so kind of new to the scene within the harp realm. Thank you again to Church of the Covenant for having me here. It's such a pleasure to come and share all this music here, and I'm kind of sad that this is probably my last time doing a solo recital here, but I do look forward to the collaboration that we're doing later on in early May. This last piece on the program is very, very near and dear to my heart. It is my own concert fantasy on Pájaro Campana. Pájaro Campana is a folk tune from South America, specifically Paraguay, and the Paraguayan harp as we know it across the world. And you know, this piece is so big not only in the Southern Hemisphere, but also across the world with the South American harp in mind. And growing up with a Hispanic heritage and background, and my dad being from Chile, he always emphasized to me the importance of learning this piece. And so, you know, whenever I was younger, I messed around with it here and there to just, you know, play something that my dad asked me to play. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I really decided that I needed to pay homage to my own heritage and bring, you know, kind of the Southern South American music to the Western stage. And so I thought, you know, what would be the best approach in doing this? And I ultimately settled on performing and putting together this concert fantasy. So the opening of the piece pulls on traditional elements of how this piece is played. There's a short cadenza kind of in the middle to take us into a little bit more of the Western Hemisphere and what we know the harp to sound like. And then it concludes with what I like to refer to as the remix. I take the original bass rhythm in the left hand and transform it more into a tango in the final section, as well as add a lot of kind of playful and light figures in the right hand to really showcase the harp as a solo instrument with a traditional South American folk tune. So thank you all again so much, and I hope you enjoy my concert fantasy on Pájaro Campana.